Hello everyone and welcome to the newest edition of the Atomic Essay Reading and my thought process behind it. The title for today's episode is I'm finally the man I dreamed of always let me start that again. I'm finally the man I've dreamed of becoming. This is something that I actually touched on a year or two ago on Facebook, where before I was doing a lot of my little writing, my little essays, before it started to become more of a real thing over on Twitter. And since I joined Billy Dickey Bush's 30 for 30 program. So I grabbed that idea, which is something I had been tinkering around for years, and I wrote this. And it took some refining. It took a while to get it down to about 300 words. And I'm pretty proud of it. It actually came out well. All the points that I wanted to make are in it, and I'm going to read it here in a second. But before I do that, I did want to share a quick story of a good friend of mine, my best friend named Chris. Usually what I've been doing, he's kind of off and on internet. He's on, but he never engages. Like, he's watching your stuff. He's one of those weird dudes. Younger guy. And, you know, Facebook can be a little bit of a weird place to be. So I'd been sharing there, and then he'd see it, but he wouldn't go to Twitter to read it. So what I started doing during most of our daily during our daily conversations is that I'd read it for him to get his insight. I love his perspective. He's a very, very smart man, and I just enjoy hearing his feedback in real time. A funny thing happened today, which was he called me. I answered. I was coming back from the gym after I had written this and published it, and shared it at Facebook with some new formatting changes. But he sometimes he's low energy because he's working, so he's focused, so he's kind of quiet. But today it was actually different. He came on, and as soon as we started talking, he was a little bit higher energy, and I was laughing, and next thing I know, he just launches off into reading this piece. He read it with the inflection and the tone that I would have done. And it made me really happy because it obviously resonated with him. He's a good dude, and he gives me good feedback. He's younger. I forget how old he is. He's under 35. He might be 33, 32, something like that. He's a younger fellow who's doing some amazing things. So I enjoy hanging out with him and talking to him because he gives me some perspective on a younger generation. And he also enjoys talking to me, so we get a kick out of each other. I'm in a way, I suppose, I'm mentoring him. I'm sharing my insights and whatnot. Anyways, that's the story. He went crazy reading it, and it was neat to hear somebody else read my words. I haven't done that recently. Haven't had someone do that, so him doing it meant a lot. So here we go. Title once again is I'm finally the man I've always dreamed of becoming. I'm 45. If anybody asks me in a conversation, I freely answer. I never say, oh my, you know that's not a polite, oh my, you know that it's not quite polite. Again, Jesus, I must be rushing. Let me slow down. Oh my, you know that it's not polite to ask a gentleman his age, right? You know what, let me start from the very beginning because I think I just jacked that up. One take, right? I'm 45. If anybody asks me in conversation, I freely answer. I never say, oh my, you know that it's not polite to ask a gentleman his age, right? I'm proud of the fact I'm finally the man that I dreamed of becoming. My 18-year-old self would be proud of us. If I can do it, you can too. It's a fantastic feeling to be older. I give less fucks about stupid stuff or things I can't control. I've seen so many things come and go and come back again. Nostalgia, am I right? I've made many foolish mistakes that taught me valuable lessons, but I've also had the privilege of learning from being an observer and simply paying attention. It's evident why older people are so wise. They live long enough to see the long-term implications of many of their decisions early in life. The perspective plus hindsight from this vantage point is astounding. I aim not to be a bitter old fuck, though. We all know them. My kids are about to head off to college and start their careers. I'm in the end game of this phase of fatherhood, so I'm flying the coop. I'm rocking the dad bod to its full potential and comfortable in my own skin. It's been a long and painful road here, but I'm eager to share my stories, lessons, and experiences. I'm filming videos regularly, restarted my podcast, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or wherever, and writing daily. I once fancied myself a writer. I let it go because I thought I wasn't a good writer, and I felt like no one cared what I had to share. I was wrong. Someone was always reading and listening. Besides, I'm confident my stories will make an impact on at least 2 people. I write, speak, and perform for them. Anyone else tuning in to the TV show and the TV podcast, anyone else tuning into this show is just a bonus. I see you. Thank you. The end. So that's that. And the point behind this is, I think we don't know any better. I'm older now, and it's crazy to think that I'm this old because I don't feel very old. But I'm older now, and obviously when you're younger, you think, okay, when I'm 18, I'm going to be an adult and I'll have all my shit figured out. Or when I'm 25, that's it. That's when I'm going to have my shit figured out. I'm going to be a man, an adult, right? Then at around 25, 26, I actually became a father. 27. I became a father, so I needed to be a man. And that the emphasis to become more mature and more grown up, an adult, I guess, became much more, I had much more of a motivation behind me. Then I had my second daughter. Then I had a divorce. Then I started my business and quit my job. All these things happened. But I still had not become the man I wanted to be, which was, in a sense, kind of a Renaissance man, a well-read man, someone that knew a little about everything and knew how to hold a conversation, how to hold attention. And I had to work on those things throughout the last 20 years or so. And this is kind of where I started to stray off when I was writing this, in that I wanted to share all these other things, and it's actually the subject for another article, another essay altogether, which is what I have been able to accomplish in that time is become a man, a refined man, an educated man, but stacked a bunch of skills and experience over that time frame to become who I am today. To be able to speak relatively comfortably in front of this camera, into this video recorder, to write about myself, to do these things that 20 years ago I wouldn't have dreamed of doing. And it's still, there's some awkwardness around it. I'm not necessarily... My natural state isn't to be sharing. I've just grown to become accustomed to it and to do it because this is what I need to do. Well, in my business, I need to be able to speak to people and hold attention and be persuasive because it's my business. It's what I have to do. And then as a part of that, I also have to be sharing, posting, promoting, and being someone that is a little outgoing. But that's not my natural state. I've had to teach myself these skills over the last 20 years, just in the public setting, in the type of setting where I have to talk to people. But I've also learned Photoshop. I've learned design. I'm a pretty good writer, and I want to get better, and will get better, as you're hearing. But I'm not a bad writer. I know that, but I'm also very hard on myself, as I imagine many of you are. But it's taking me... Point being, it's taken me a very long time to get to where I'm at today. Yet, at the same time, while I was learning it, it was fun. It was engaging. People were enjoying it. And my daughters were enjoying it because they were a part of the creation of some of this stuff. That's why you'll see on my blog photos of them, because they wanted to participate. It's not because I forced them. In fact, most of the time I try not to, and I've always tried not to if they just didn't feel comfortable. They did. But after all that said and done, after all the mistakes, I'm here, and it's only going to get better because now, as the story says, I'm much more comfortable in my skin than I ever have been. I struggle with that because I didn't want to share things that people didn't care to listen to or come off as a smartass. I still may come off as a smartass, I suppose. But I'm conscious of what I'm sharing. I don't want to make people feel bad. I don't want people to think that I know everything. I don't. I really don't. I know I don't. These are stories. These are real stories of what I've experienced, what I've gone through, and some of the lessons I took away, and how I have had some success, and how maybe you, Mr. Viewer, Mr. Listener, Mr. Reader, can also benefit from my experience. And when I speak to the point of learning from other people's mistakes and by watching, that's what I mean. I watched a lot. I'm a pretty good observer. I pay attention to what's going on. I look for patterns, like we all do. And I try to pinpoint moments or lessons that I try to pinpoint those moments where I can pick up those lessons, that I don't have to make those mistakes that they're going through. And age gives you that perspective, and that's where I was like, after you get old enough, you've been through enough, seen enough things, that inevitably you see like 5-10 years later, like they're doing that mistake again as a group, as a people. And to witness that is pretty fascinating. Like, that's why older people are wise, right? Because they've seen it and they've been paying attention, and they may have been a part of that group making that mistake, as a community, as a people. And it's fascinating to me, right? It's just a neat thing to watch. That's why I actually love the fact that I'm older. I don't care as much for the crap, and I'm not going to waste my time on it. There's still some irritation, because you would think as a people we would know better, right? As a community, as a country, as a civilization. But we have a tendency to forget, or we don't revisit the history or know our history. We don't know that we were here 10 years ago, we were here 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100, like a lot of the lessons, I think that like history repeats itself. That's why so many things happen that inevitably repeats itself, because at the end of the day, we're still human beings living a human experience and making human mistakes. And even though there's books written about these times where we make these mistakes, we don't do a good job of actually revisiting it as a group to learn from those lessons. But we have our old people who will do that for us, who will share those lessons if we just pay attention. But it's never at a large enough scale to completely avoid it. We're just destined to keep repeating mistakes. And for me, I just obviously want to share, and hopefully this is my way to share and hopefully keep some people from reliving those mistakes. I'm proud of the man I've become. I'm proud of the age that I am, and I intend as best I can to hold off or stave off the coronavirus and continue to live a healthy lifestyle, and live in such a way that I can enjoy my last years and not be like my parents, unfortunately, are at home. They're locked up because of corona, but they're also struggling because they have a hard time moving around. My father had a stroke at an early age. I had a brother that died a few years ago from a stroke as well. I wanted to do different. I want to live a full life. I want to be around for my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and be able to pick them up and play, and because I'm a big clown. Anyways, now I'm getting way off topic. Point is, I'm proud of who I am. It's taken time. Nothing happens overnight. Pick something to invest in today, to put time into learning a new skill, especially if it's a social skill, soft skill, something that puts you out there, get to meet new people. Do that. Start your day, because in 10 years, you'll be a master at it. People will think you're natural, and you may not be. It's just a skill. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review. Are you enjoying this? What would you like to hear about? I'm going to continue doing this, but what would you like to hear about? And make sure to sign up for the newsletter on the website. I will start sharing more and more and stuff that I run into that I find interesting. Look for it. All right? Have a great day. Take care, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Bye-bye.